One of the most shocking moments in my life came when my sister-in-law, Claire, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I know your weakness now." Those words were chilling because she wasn't just speaking in threats. She had stolen a secret from our family, a secret so personal and sensitive that it could ruin everything we held dear. My name is Ava Morgan. I was blindsided by Claire's betrayal, but what she didn't realize was that I wasn't powerless. I was already planning my move. Claire thought she had the upper hand, but I was ready to outsmart her. The shock on her face when she realized what I had done was unforgettable. This is how I took control when my own family member tried to use my deepest vulnerabilities against me. Before everything fell apart, I thought my family was strong and trustworthy. My name is Ava Morgan, and I'm a 32-year-old marketing consultant living in a suburban neighborhood with my husband, Ethan. Ethan is Claire's older brother, and for years I believed we had a healthy, supportive family dynamic. Claire, my sister-in-law, was always polite but distant. She was a few years younger than me and carried a quiet competitiveness that I sensed but didn't fully understand at first. Our family gatherings were usually warm, with my parents, Grace and Michael, often hosting dinners filled with laughter and stories, but beneath the surface, there were tensions I hadn't noticed. Grace and Michael are traditional and private people who guard their family's history carefully. There's one secret they've kept hidden for decades, a story about my mother that, if revealed, could shatter the family's reputation. It wasn't something we spoke about openly, and it was understood that it was off limits, a bond that held us together. Growing up, I respected that boundary and trusted that it would remain safe within the family. I felt secure in my role as a wife, daughter, and sister-in-law, confident in the relationships I had built. I worked hard at my marketing job and looked forward to a future where I could start a family of my own. Ethan was my rock during those years. We had been together since college, and our relationship was built on mutual respect and love. He was aware of the family's secret, but like me, he understood the importance of keeping it confidential. I thought that between us, and with the family's support, we could face any challenge. But the subtle undercurrents in the family, especially involving Claire, were growing stronger. Claire and I had always had a strained relationship. She was competitive in ways that made me uncomfortable. At family events, I often caught her watching me with a cold, calculating look. She rarely included me in her conversations and sometimes made cutting remarks disguised as jokes. It was clear she wanted to assert her place in the family hierarchy, and I suspected she resented how close Ethan and I were to our parents. But I never expected her to go as far as to exploit our family's most guarded secret. Before the conflict arose, I was mostly focused on my career and planning for the future. I was excited about the possibility of starting a family and building a home with Ethan. I had just accepted a promotion that meant more responsibility but also more confidence in my abilities. Emotionally, I felt stable and hopeful. The few moments of tension with Claire seemed manageable and nothing that could threaten the strong bonds we shared as a family. One memory stands out from that time, a casual conversation at a family dinner. Claire was unusually quiet that night, and I tried to engage her. "Claire, you've been kind of distant lately. Is everything okay?" I asked, hoping to bridge the gap. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm fine, Ava, just busy with work," she replied, but there was a sharpness in her tone I couldn't ignore. That subtle distance was a warning sign I missed. I thought our relationship would improve with time, but instead, Claire's behavior became more calculated. She started showing up uninvited to events, asking questions that felt intrusive, and spending more time with my parents in ways that seemed designed to pry into family matters. I brushed it off, telling myself that maybe she just wanted to feel more included. But the truth was far more painful. Claire wasn't just curious. She was hunting for a secret weapon. When I finally found out she had uncovered our family secret, it felt like a knife through my heart. The very thing we had protected for so long was in her hands, and she was ready to use it against me. The sense of betrayal was overwhelming because it wasn't a stranger who did this. It was someone who was supposed to be family. That's when the fear set in. The secret wasn't just embarrassing or a minor flaw. It was something that could damage reputations, divide the family, and unravel the trust that had taken years to build. Claire's threats made it clear she planned to exploit this information to gain power within the family and hurt me personally. The situation was fragile, and I had to figure out how to protect my family and myself before it was too late. The discovery that Claire had stolen our family's most guarded secret felt like a sudden, sharp betrayal that rocked my world. It wasn't just the fact that she had found out something so private. It was the way she wielded that information like a weapon, threatening to destroy me emotionally and socially. When she first hinted that she knew my weakness, I felt exposed in a way I never had before. The secret was never meant to leave the circle of trust we had within the family, and suddenly it was being held hostage by someone I was supposed to consider family. Claire's behavior shifted almost overnight. She began dropping subtle but pointed remarks whenever we were around family, turning conversations into veiled threats. She knew exactly how to hurt me without saying much, using insinuations and glances that made everyone around uncomfortable, but left me isolated. The fear of the secret being exposed made every family gathering tense and filled with uncertainty. I started second-guessing everyone's words and wondering who else might have been caught in Claire's manipulative web. The emotional toll was immense. I went from feeling secure to constantly anxious, fearful that Claire would reveal the secret at the worst possible moment. I felt helpless watching her play the game of power, manipulating family members and threatening to upend the fragile balance we'd maintained for years. It was a kind of emotional blackmail I had never imagined facing from within my own family. I remember the day it became impossible to ignore. We were at a birthday dinner for my mother, Grace, surrounded by relatives. Claire leaned in close, her voice low but unmistakably clear. "You think you're untouchable, Ava, but I know what you're hiding. It's only a matter of time before everyone else does too." The room went silent for a moment, and I felt a wave of heat rise in my chest, not from embarrassment, but from a fierce determination to protect my family and myself. I confronted the fear and the anger that churned inside me. This wasn't just about a secret anymore. It was about my dignity, my relationships, and my future. Claire's threats were not just words. They were calculated attempts to undermine everything I stood for. She wanted to gain control by tearing me down, and the secret was her leverage. At the same time, I struggled with confusion and disbelief. How had Claire gotten this far? Had she been planning this for months? Were there cracks in the family I hadn't noticed? The sense of betrayal was deep because Claire had positioned herself as a trusted member of the family, someone who should have protected us, not threatened us. Every interaction with her became a careful negotiation, balancing politeness with guarded caution. The conflict also strained my relationship with Ethan. He was torn between loyalty to his sister and his commitment to me. He wanted to support me, but was hesitant to confront Claire directly. I could see the pain in his eyes, and it made the situation even more complicated. I didn't want to force him to choose sides, but I needed him to understand the seriousness of what was happening. Emotionally, I was caught in a whirlwind. I had moments of despair, feeling overwhelmed by the betrayal and the pressure. At times, I wanted to run away from the entire family drama, but beneath the fear was a growing resolve. I refused to be a victim in my own family's story. I knew I had to find a way to protect what mattered without giving Claire the satisfaction of seeing me broken. I confided in my mother, Grace, who reminded me of the strength that runs through our family's history. "Ava," she said softly, "secrets have power only if we let them. What matters is how you stand in the face of this." Those words stayed with me as I grappled with the emotional weight of the conflict. I realized that I couldn't fight this battle with anger alone. I needed a plan. The more Claire pushed, the clearer it became that confrontation was inevitable. But I also understood that reacting impulsively could play into her hands. She thrived on drama and division. Instead, I began to think strategically about how to turn this situation around without letting the secret be exposed or the family torn apart. The tension reached a boiling point when Claire's threats escalated from whispers and hints to overt challenges. She started to tell other family members about the secret, carefully framing it to make me look unreliable and untrustworthy. It was a manipulation game, and I was caught in the middle. The fear that this secret could fracture my family, damage my reputation, and hurt those I loved was very real. Despite everything, I kept reminding myself that this wasn't the end of my story. I had to find a way to protect my family, expose Claire's true motives, and reclaim my peace. The rising tension wasn't just a challenge, it was a test of my resilience and intelligence. How I responded would define not just the present conflict, but the kind of person I wanted to be. After weeks of feeling trapped by Claire's threats and manipulations, I realized that waiting for her to make the next move was a mistake. Fear and frustration could only carry me so far. I needed a plan, a way to take control of the situation before it spiraled completely out of my hands. I decided that the best defense was a smart offense. I wasn't going to let her play me or the family like pawns in her game anymore. I had to outsmart her. The first thing I did was start documenting everything, every suspicious conversation, every veiled threat, every moment when Claire tried to intimidate or manipulate me. I recorded it discreetly. At first, it felt strange to gather evidence against someone so close, but I knew it was necessary. This wasn't just about protecting myself. It was about safeguarding my family's secret and preventing Claire from causing irreparable harm. Keeping detailed notes and saving text messages helped me feel less powerless and gave me clarity. At the same time, I began reaching out for support. I confided in Uncle Ben, my husband's uncle, who had a reputation for being level-headed and wise in family matters. Uncle Ben had always been a steady presence, someone who could see through drama and offer practical advice. When I explained the situation to him, he didn't judge or dismiss my concerns. Instead, he listened carefully and told me that sometimes the best way to win a game of manipulation is to be 3 steps ahead. With Uncle Ben's guidance, I developed a strategy focused on exposing Claire's true intentions without airing the family's secret publicly. We discussed how to confront Claire in a way that would force her to back down and reveal her manipulation to the rest of the family. I knew this needed to happen in a setting where the family could see the full picture and understand that Claire was acting out of selfishness and spite, not concern or loyalty. Emotionally, this shift from fear to strategy was empowering. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was reclaiming my agency. The secret Claire held was powerful, yes, but I refused to let it define me or control my life. I spent hours planning, rehearsing what I would say, and imagining different scenarios. I wasn't interested in revenge. I wanted fairness and to protect my family's dignity. I also began strengthening my relationships with other family members discreetly. I reached out to cousins, aunts, and uncles who had always been close, but perhaps unaware of the brewing storm. Without revealing the secret, I shared enough about Claire's behavior to raise their awareness. I was careful to avoid gossiping or spreading fear. Instead, I focused on honest conversations about loyalty and trust. This helped me build a quiet coalition of support, making it harder for Claire to isolate me. During this time, I maintained a calm exterior whenever I was around Claire. I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me rattled or angry. Inside, I was focused and determined, waiting for the right moment to act. Every interaction became a subtle dance, testing her limits and watching for signs of weakness. Claire's confident mask began to crack, revealing frustration and uncertainty beneath her usual coldness. One key moment was when Claire tried to corner me during a small family gathering. Instead of reacting with fear or anger, I calmly said, "If you think threatening me will get you what you want, you're mistaken. I know what you're up to and it won't work." Her surprise was evident, and I could see the doubt flicker in her eyes. That moment solidified my confidence. Claire was not invincible. As the confrontation with Claire loomed, I continued gathering proof. Recorded conversations, text messages, and witness accounts painted a clear picture of her manipulative tactics. I made sure everything was organized and ready, prepared to present it to the family in a way that would be undeniable. Throughout this process, Ethan stood by me quietly but firmly. He had been conflicted at first, torn between his sister and me. But seeing my strength and determination helped him understand the gravity of the situation. He became an ally, supporting my efforts to protect the family and exposing Claire's behavior. Our relationship deepened through this challenge, built on honesty and mutual respect. The more I prepared, the more I believed in the outcome. I wasn't just protecting a secret, I was defending my family's trust and my own integrity. The game Claire thought she was winning was about to turn, and I was ready to show everyone the truth. I knew the coming confrontation wouldn't be easy, but I was no longer afraid. I had a plan, support, and a clear purpose. The day I confronted Claire was the most intense moment I had ever experienced. Months of fear, anxiety, and careful planning had led to this point. I knew that if I wanted to protect my family's secret and expose Claire's manipulations once and for all, I needed to be calm, composed, and precise. The setting was a family gathering, a neutral ground where everyone who mattered would be present. I chose the moment carefully, ensuring that the family's trust in me would help bring the truth to light. As the room filled with familiar faces, my parents, Grace and Michael, Ethan, cousins, and aunts and uncles, I felt the weight of the secret and the tension Claire had created. Claire was there too, wearing her usual confident smile, but beneath it, I could sense the nervousness. She knew something was coming, but she didn't know what. I took a deep breath and began speaking, steady and clear. I started by acknowledging the discomfort everyone must have felt during the past few months. I know there have been tensions and misunderstandings, I said, but I want to be honest about what's really been going on. I paused and looked directly at Claire. Claire has been using a family secret, one that we all agreed would remain private, as leverage to manipulate and threaten me. The room grew silent. Some family members exchanged glances. Others looked down, unsure of how to react. I then presented the evidence I had gathered. Text messages, recordings, and witness accounts that clearly showed Claire's attempts to intimidate me. I explained how she had tried to use the secret not out of concern for the family, but to gain power and control. This isn't about protecting anyone or anything, I said firmly. It's about manipulation for selfish reasons. The impact was immediate. The expressions on the faces around me shifted from confusion to disbelief, then to disappointment. Claire tried to interrupt, her voice rising, but I held up a hand to stop her. "Let me finish," I said calmly. "What I'm sharing is painful but necessary. We have to decide what kind of family we want to be." I spoke about trust, respect, and the importance of protecting each other, not tearing each other down. I reminded everyone that the secret was something we all wanted to keep safe, but it lost its power when used as a weapon. Watching Claire's confident mask crumble was a moment of quiet satisfaction. She had expected to intimidate me and come out on top, but instead, she was left exposed and isolated. Her shock was palpable. Her eyes darted around the room, looking for support that wasn't there. Family members who had previously stayed neutral now voiced their disappointment in her actions, showing solidarity with me. I saw the regret slowly settle on Claire's face, but it was too late for apologies to undo the damage. The family's reaction was a turning point. Instead of division, the confrontation brought us closer together. My parents expressed their pride in my courage and honesty. Ethan took my hand, his support steady and reassuring. Cousins and relatives who had been silent started sharing stories of their own experiences with family struggles, creating a space of understanding and healing. The secret remained protected, not because it was ignored, but because it was no longer a weapon in anyone's hands. By exposing Claire's true intentions, I had neutralized the threat and restored trust. The family learned a valuable lesson about loyalty and respect, and Claire faced the consequences of her actions within the family circle. For me, this climax was more than just a confrontation. It was an affirmation of my strength and resilience. It proved that even when someone tries to use your vulnerabilities against you, you can rise above with integrity and courage. I didn't need to stoop to Claire's level or retaliate with bitterness. Instead, I chose honesty and strategic action, which ultimately won the day. This moment also deepened my relationships within the family. People saw a different side of me, someone who could stand firm under pressure and protect what mattered most. It wasn't about winning a battle against Claire. It was about preserving the family's unity and safeguarding our shared history. As the gathering ended, Claire quietly left the room. The shock on her face was unmistakable, but so was the new respect the family had for me. I knew that while some wounds might take time to heal, the foundation we rebuilt was stronger than ever. I had taken control of the narrative, protected my family, and shown that true strength comes from standing up for yourself with grace. After the confrontation with Claire and the family gathering where everything was laid bare, life slowly began to settle into a new normal. The aftermath was not just about healing the wounds caused by betrayal, but about understanding the lessons that came from that painful experience. I had emerged from the storm, changed, stronger, wiser, and more aware of what truly matters. The most important realization I came to was about trust. Trust is the foundation of any family or relationship, but it is also fragile. Claire's betrayal shattered my trust, not just in her, but in the idea that family automatically means loyalty. I learned that trust isn't something to be taken for granted. It has to be earned and protected carefully. But I also learned that trust can be rebuilt even after it's broken. It takes time, honesty, and consistent effort. Our family, after the confrontation, began to rebuild that trust with more openness and clear boundaries. We acknowledged the hurt, but also committed to moving forward together, stronger than before. Emotionally, I grew more resilient. The experience forced me to face deep fears and vulnerabilities, but instead of being consumed by them, I turned them into motivation. I discovered a strength I hadn't realized I possessed, the ability to stay calm under pressure, to think strategically when emotions ran high, and to act with integrity even when I was hurt. That resilience became a defining part of who I am now. It shaped how I approach challenges, both personal and professional, reminding me that adversity can be a catalyst for growth rather than destruction. My relationship with Ethan also deepened through this experience. He witnessed firsthand the pain I endured and the courage I summoned to confront it. Our bond strengthened because we faced the situation as a team, communicating openly and supporting each other. We learned to be more honest about our feelings and to protect our relationship from outside negativity. The ordeal tested us, but it also reaffirmed our commitment and love. Another important outcome was the way this experience reshaped my perspective on family dynamics. I realized that families, like any group of people, have complexities and imperfections. Conflict is inevitable, but how you respond to it makes all the difference. I now see family relationships as something that require work, understanding, and sometimes tough conversations. Avoiding issues only allows resentment and misunderstandings to grow. Facing problems head-on with honesty and respect creates a healthier environment for everyone involved. I also recognize the importance of self-care and setting boundaries. After the betrayal, I became more mindful of protecting my emotional well-being. I learned to say no when necessary and to distance myself from toxic behaviors, even if they came from family. This wasn't about cutting people out, but about prioritizing my peace and sanity. That boundary setting allowed me to focus on rebuilding my life without being dragged down by negativity. One of the most unexpected yet rewarding parts of the aftermath was how the experience connected me with others who had faced similar betrayals. I joined support groups and engaged in conversations about family conflict and personal boundaries. Sharing my story helped me process what happened and also gave me a sense of community. Knowing that I wasn't alone made the healing process less isolating. It also inspired me to help others navigate their own challenges, turning my pain into purpose. Looking back, I realized that Claire's attempt to use my weakness against me ultimately became a catalyst for my growth. The secret she tried to weaponize lost its power because I refused to let fear control me. Instead, I took control of the narrative and reclaimed my life. This journey taught me that true strength is not about never being hurt, but about how you respond when you are. To anyone facing betrayal, especially from those closest to them, I want to say this: you have the power to rise above. It won't be easy, and the road to healing may be long, but resilience, courage, and strategic action can help you reclaim your peace and protect what matters most. Don't let fear silence you or let shame keep you in the shadows. Stand firm, seek support, and trust in your strength. Today, I live with a renewed sense of confidence and clarity. I cherish the family bonds that survived and grew stronger, and I'm cautious but hopeful about the future. I've learned to navigate relationships with more wisdom and grace, and I'm committed to protecting my emotional well-being. The experience with Claire was painful, but it was also transformative, a turning point that shaped the person I am today. This story isn't just about betrayal or payback. It's about resilience, growth, and the power of standing up for yourself when it matters most. The shock Claire experienced when she realized I had outsmarted her was only the beginning. The real victory was in the lasting peace and strength I found afterward, a peace that no threat or secret can ever take away.